Hello, how are you, beloved family? I'm Betty Lascano, and today I bring you a comprehensive tutorial on how to do highlights with a cap when there is a lot of gray hair. This is certainly and without a doubt a request from many of you. How about we start with this tutorial? Let me introduce you to Leda. She has previously served as my model, and today she is getting a touch-up on her highlights. Could I do them with aluminum foil? This time I'm going to use a cap to clarify and clear up many doubts, because people ask me how I can do highlights with a cap when I have a lot of gray hair and dye. Do I do the highlights first and then the color, or how do I do it? I want to tell you that this video is going to be a little long because I want you to do it the right way. If you are going to do highlights with a cap, it is absolutely very crucially important, even if you don't have gray hair, to first even out the tone, apply the dye first, and then do the highlighting process, and then do the highlights. You can't do the highlights first and then apply the dye, because it would completely cover your color work. Leda has almost 100% gray hair from the crown forward and from the crown to the nape. The gray is more dispersed. We could say about 70% gray and 30% natural color overall, like perhaps maybe. You can clearly see that the front part looks much lighter, and that's significantly because of the percentage of gray hair, while the back part looks considerably darker. This usually happens with this particular type of coloring. You have to be extremely careful and follow the correct technique so that the color always looks nice and doesn't appear uneven, lighter in the front and darker in the back, typically. So let's start with the application of the dye. Pay very close attention, because this video is a very important lesson in colorimetry. We are going to start by hydrating the hair, and I will use the Yenville Hydrating Serum. This will keep the hair hydrated throughout the entire chemical process. Once applied, it is very important to dry it with a leader. We are going to start with the pre-softening of the gray hair, and for this I will use 25G of dye in color 6, which is a dark blonde, and 50 ml of natural water, tap water, whatever you like to call it, and we are going to mix it absolutely perfectly well. We are going to carefully and thoroughly apply this formula to all the gray hair. Remember that it is a very light coating. You should not saturate it too much, because if you do, when applying the dye, you run the risk of not having good coverage. This varnish is applied, as I say, a light varnish, and indeed it is applied all over the head where the gray hair is, and it works effectively. Once you finish applying the pre-softening treatment, it is very crucial and absolutely necessary to apply the dye immediately, right away on top of it. There's no time for posing. You quickly apply the pre-softening and then apply the dye on top. The formula I am specifically going to use for the dye will be precisely approximately 90 ml of 20 volume oxidant plus exactly about 25 grain of 5G of tri. SN dye. This dye is particularly special for effectively covering gray hair, as it has a significantly higher amount of pigment compared to other dyes, plus an additional 25 milligrams of dye 6-3. This combination gives me a total of 50 grams of dye, ensuring thorough coverage and vibrant color. We mix it very thoroughly and carefully, absolutely perfectly well, and apply it over the pre-softening. Remember, the pre-softening does not have a processing time. We are going to very carefully apply, starting from the front. If there are gray hairs, you should always start the application process from the front. Here, you need to saturate the hair perfectly well so that when it absorbs the color, there is enough product. Do they sometimes apply very little dye when there are gray hairs, and what happens? There is not good coverage. It is absolutely crucially important that if there are gray hairs or you are going to do a normal coloring, you must saturate completely and thoroughly, perfectly well, so that the color becomes more firm and intense. We are going to carefully and thoroughly apply the dye to all the new hair growth. Once the dye is completely applied, we will give it approximately 25 minutes of heat, since Aleida has a lot of gray hair. If you have a lot of gray hair and have a climazone or a color generating machine, I recommend giving it 25 minutes. If not, give it 40 minutes naturally. After that time, we will give it approximately 5 to 10 minutes, allow for the head to cool down for a few more seconds, and then move the client to the sink. We are going to moisten the mid-lengths and ends, and to the leftover formula, we can add a little bit of water and apply it from mid-lengths to ends. This is going to be for adding color to the mid-lengths and ends. Remember that Aleida has a lot of gray hair, and the color she used to apply is a dark blonde that looked lighter due to the amount of gray. We are applying the same shade that she normally uses. We are giving a color bath. We will do it for approximately 10 minutes, for a total of 10 minutes, so that the hair absorbs the color. After that time, we will thoroughly and completely remove the dye perfectly well and give a shampoo with a retention bath indeed. This shampoo is special for setting color treatments. It is important to wash with a shampoo that helps to set the color. And to complement the treatment, we are definitely going to use the firm color mask, which will seal the color for us. Since we are going to make Aleida highlights with a cap, it is very important that you carefully prepare the hair so that when you make the highlights and insert the hook, it slides through the hair easily and smoothly. We are going to use Yenvir's Hydrated Straightener. This is a moisturizer that gives a lot of softness to the hair, perfect for you who want to have sleek, frizz-free hair, and it also acts as an incredibly effective heat protector. We are going to thoroughly apply it to all the hair and carefully straighten it to completely prepare it for the next procedure. I want you to notice that Aleida's gray hair was absolutely completely covered. I really love this gray hair coverage technique because it gives me very good results. Once the hair is straightened, I recommend applying treatment again. In this case, I am going to apply Yenvir's Liquid Keratin. This treatment will definitely give me significantly greater softness and smoothness so that when inserting the hook into the cap, the hair will also slide very easily and we won't pull the client indeed. Now we put on the cap and start pulling out the highlights. Here you will manage the amount you want. Some people want a few highlights, others want a lot, a bit more. In Aleida's case, as you could observe, she indeed has quite a bit of gray hair. Here, it is most definitely advisable to do a lot of highlights to disguise her gray hair. If I do very few highlights, I absolutely and definitely won't achieve the desired result. When there is a lot of gray hair, what we definitely want is to disguise it. And with light tones and bleached highlights, believe me, you will indeed absolutely achieve that effect. Here I am doing highlights and they are helping me too. Once all the highlights are done, it's time to very carefully prepare the formula I will use to bleach the hair. I am going to use approximately 3 capsules of color powder plus about 6 capsules of 20 volume cream oxidizing agent plus half an ampule of intensive therapy, particularly for brittle hair. And also, always remember that I always start with this specific quantity of product because I prefer not to have any leftover, or if I need more, I make another formula because sometimes we waste a lot of product. I am going to start with the roots, carefully and meticulously applying the formula perfectly well and ensuring saturating all the growth. I want you to notice that I am only very carefully, thoroughly, and precisely applying the bleach to the roots on Aleda and also leaving the ends free because I don't want to bleach from mid-lengths to ends yet since she already has previous highlights. First, we are going to lighten the roots and wrap them with plastic wrap to generate some heat, and then we will make another formula for the mid-lengths and ends. We are going to give a processing time of approximately 20 minutes with heat. After that time, we will administer another formula of bleach from mid-lengths to ends. This will be 3 caps of bleaching powder plus 6 caps of 10 volume cream oxidant plus half an ampoule of intensive therapy. In total, we will administer this formula from mid-lengths to ends. We are going to saturate very perfectly and thoroughly well to achieve an even lightening. Once applied, we will move a little bit from mid-lengths to ends to speed up the lightening a bit more. We allow a processing time of 15 to 20 minutes. It can be up to 30 minutes without heat. After that time, we will completely remove the bleach and thoroughly get rid of the excess water at that point in time. In Aleda's case, we ended up with a specific golden lightening, which is why we are going to apply a special platinum shampoo to eliminate some of the golden reflection. I highly recommend this. If you definitely have a golden lightening like the one Aleda got, I suggest you apply a platinum bath from Yenvir or any other brand you have. Leave it on for 3 to 5 minutes and then rinse it off. With this, you will be able to slightly eliminate a bit of the golden reflection. The final toning formula I am going to use will be 90 ml in 10 volume cream plus 25 g of 9, 13 g of 0 and 12 plus 3 g of 0 and 12. We are definitely going to apply this formula only on the highlight, still with the cap on. We are going to apply it generously and allow it to sit for a period, which can be from 5 to 10 minutes. In Aleda's case, it was approximately 8 minutes and then we started. We then started to carefully remove the cap with the toner. We did it in such a way because the softness provided by the tint helps to make absolutely sure that pulling the cap does not hurt our client in any way. Watch how the girls are very carefully doing it. They are gently pulling it and the hair is sliding smoothly. Once the cap is carefully removed, it is also time to remove the toner. We are going to do it with plenty of water, and remember that it has to be with water that is not too hot because hot water makes the color fade very quickly. Once the toner is removed, we will apply shampoo with a retention bath. This shampoo helps us fix the color. To finish, we will be applying the firm color mask from mid-lengths to ends. To complete the coloring process, we will be applying Yenvir's hydrated straightener because we will be straightening the hair to show how beautiful it turned out. Steffi is going to take care of giving the final makeup touches to Leda so that our model looks even more beautiful. This is definitely Aleda's final result. See how her hair has changed. When there are gray hairs, I always recommend applying light tones as they blend more naturally with the gray hairs, providing a softer and more natural look. Additionally, if highlights can be done, it's much better because that will cover more gray hairs. Delay the touch-up of the dye a bit more and you won't have that stark color contrast that happens with dark dyes. If you apply a black dye, in 3 days you can already see the white of the gray hair, or if you apply a dark brown or light brown tone, the same thing happens. If you have gray hair, I recommend that you always use light tones. Remember, dear and beloved family, the foundation of learning is practice. So family, I definitely recommend that you practice a lot and so you can become great professionals.